Hi, this is CH. In this video, I'm gonna talk about tips to add visual interest to your art while I'm painting one of the pieces of my Seasonal Art 2019 series. This painting is titled Winter, January, Saffron and Edwardian Lady. So let's get started with today's topic. Tip number 1. Creating contrast. Contrast appears when two strikingly different elements are put together, and it helps to emphasize the main point of an artwork. Contrast is one of the important principles of art. So how important is it? Imagine that the human face is pale and completely flat without any light and shadows. The colors of the lips and brows are the same as the face. They will literally be just skin tone, and it will be hard to tell whether it is a human face or not. This is why people wear makeup, because the contrast made by contouring and highlighting can make the facial features pop. Contrast is often related to variety. Visual arts can include many different kinds of contrast, and here are just a few. Complementary colors, cold colors versus warm colors, big versus small, near versus far, light versus dark, and realistic versus abstract. Complementary colors are basically colors which are on directly opposite sides of the color wheel, such as red and green, yellow and violet, blue and orange, and so on. Complementary colors provide striking visual effects when paired together. If you've ever observed paintings of Van Gogh, you'll notice that he uses complementary colors quite often. Cool colors versus warm colors is another frequent type of contrast in colors. Cool colors include blue, violet, and cyan. Warm colors include red, yellow, and orange. Cool colors are linked to coolness, distance, loneliness, and sadness. Warm colors, on the contrary, convey warmness, closeness, excitement, and joy. I recently watched the 2019 version of Little Women, in which the flashbacks and present-day moments are weaved together. If you pay attention, you'll notice that present-day moments are presented with cool colors to represent the pain and challenges that the Grand March sisters are facing. On the other hand, the childhood moments in the past are presented with warm colors to show how wonderful the childhood memories were. This is how colors make people feel. Interesting, right? Speaking of big versus small, it reminds me of Gulliver's Travels. You can always find an illustration like this in the picture book. Gulliver is tied up by a bunch of tiny people. It just looks so dramatic. It has not only the contrast of big versus small, but also one versus many. When you are drawing, creating contrast of near versus far can increase depth. So how do you create an illusion of near and far on a 2D surface? One of the ways to achieve that is by making the elements that are close to the viewer clear and detailed, and making the far away ones blurry and sketchy. In this way, viewers can easily distinguish the foreground, midground, and background, and know which element is more or less dominant in an image. When we mention the contrast in painting, many people think of light and dark. Besides making objects more three-dimensional, light and dark also have a highlight effect, just like what the spotlight on the stage does. People naturally pay attention to the things in the spotlight. Take a look at this picture. This is Michael Jackson's iconic outfit for performing Billie Jean. Did you notice the white parts of the outfit right away in the picture? We all know that wearing black loafers with white socks is one of MJ's iconic styles. White socks create a boundary between his feet and the bottom of his pants. When the stage turns dark and the black parts of the outfit almost disappeared into the background, the white socks stand out immediately in the spotlight. Therefore, the audience is more likely to focus on MJ's feet movements when he's dancing. At first, MJ wore black loafers with white socks just simply to be different. I'm not sure if you noticed the stage effect that white socks have at the very beginning, but the contrast between black and white is really a plus to the performance. The next type of contrast I'm gonna talk about is realistic versus abstract. Hyper-realistic paintings impress people because it requires advanced skills and patience to create them. But in my opinion, just use a camera to capture realistic images. We see realistic images all the time in our daily life. So let's just do something different when we are drawing. I think eyes are highlights in a portrait, so you can put more details on eyes and simplify other parts like hair and clothes, and draw them in a more sketchy, abstract way, so the eyes of the figure can stand out. Tip number 2. Combining different mediums. Every medium has its unique texture, so when different mediums are put together in a painting, it increases visual variety. I always enjoy watching some artists use gold leaf in their paintings or adding gold or silver powder into paints. I've also seen some artists scan fresh flowers and merge them into paintings. You can have lots of fun playing around with different mediums, but remember to figure out how each of them works, so you will know how they can work best together. Tip number 3. Drawing something impossible in reality. One of the purposes of making art is to fulfill our imagination. Anything impossible in reality can have a chance to become reality in art making. To some degree, impossibility means the unexpected. And then unexpected often leads to interest. It's just like watching a magic show. Although magic is all about smoke and mirrors, people are still excited to see something impossible become reality in person. This is why magic shows always appeal to people and make them curious and interested. And here are the tips to add visual interest to your art that I want to share with you today. I hope they are helpful to you. So let's do a quick review of them. Tip number 1. Creating contrast. And contrast includes complementary colors, cool versus warm colors, big versus small, near versus far, light versus dark, and realistic versus abstract. Tip number 2. Combining different mediums. Tip number 3. Drawing something impossible in reality. What do you do to add visual interest to your art? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss my videos. See you in the next video. Bye.